Hey guys, how's it going? Alex Scott here with Consordini.com. Thank you so much for checking out another one of our super cool studio gear reviews. Today we are taking a look at another plugin, or more specifically a library for a plugin. This is a Kontakt library called Analog Dreams. Now, if you guys are watching this right when it's uploaded, which will be roughly May of 2020, I'm sure you noticed the whole world is kind of freaking out about this virus pandemic, so I hope that all of you guys are staying safe and healthy and happy, staying inside, wearing masks, all that good stuff. I am in Bangkok, Thailand, actually. We were supposed to be traveling all over Southeast Asia right now, but obviously travel is a little bit difficult right now. So we are just kind of hanging out in isolation. I've got my mobile studio set up and we're staying safe, staying inside. Again, I hope you guys are doing well and doing the same thing. But in light of this kind of crazy situation that everybody's in, where we can't really go anywhere, Native Instruments a couple of months ago, back in March, said, hey, we want to go ahead and give away some cool plugins and sound libraries and stuff to keep people being creative, keep people making music, and this Analog Dreams was part of that. So this is a library for the Kontakt player, of course, Kontakt being Native Instruments' kind of sample playing platform. There's a lot of different companies, and Native Instruments, of course, who make libraries for Kontakt. We've looked at some on the channel before, particularly this Chris Hine orchestral stuff. But this one, Analog Dreams, is one that's made by Native Instruments. It's part of their Play series of Kontakt libraries. And this whole kind of series, I think, is really designed around exactly that, really just focusing on playing around with cool sounds. It's not a super full-featured synthesizer or anything like that. It's mainly just a collection of really interesting and cool presets with a pretty limited amount of editability in terms of being able to tweak the sounds that are designed to just get you going, get you created, get you inspired by providing you some cool textures to play around with that you don't have to really worry about that much. You know, you don't have to dive super deep and mess around with waveforms and all this kind of stuff. They're really kind of what you see is what you get. It's simple. It sounds really, really good. It's sampled from some very, very cool sources from what I understand. So they were offering it for free back in March. I believe that offer has expired. Normally it's $49, but I just wanted to show you guys real quick what's included in this library if you're interested in picking it up, and kind of how it works and all that good stuff, because I think it's very cool. And, you know, again, given the situation that everybody's in, I think it's great that Native Instruments kind of had this idea and said, hey, you know, let's hook people up with some cool software to make sure that even though we're all kind of have to hang out inside here for a little bit so that we don't get ourselves sick or anybody else sick, you know, we can still keep creating and still keep making great music. So again, you know, this is going to load in your basic Kontakt player like any other Kontakt library would. And then when you initially load up the instrument itself, the Analog Dreams library here, this is the basic interface. And it's really, really, really simple, both in how it works and how it's presented. So we kind of have two different samples that get loaded into the player at any one time. We have an A and we have a B. And then down here, we just have a very simple set of kind of macro controls, and these change depending on your preset. So as we'll go through some presets and listen to them in just a second here, but you'll see that these options change to kind of reflect the nature of the sound that you pull up. So you can do some customizability here in terms of if you click on A, you have all these kind of sets of these samples that is what this whole thing is using to make the sounds. And these are all, I think, just kind of individual note samples from real analog synthesizers. Because with the title Analog Dreams, you know, this is all about kind of classic 70s and 80s, really warm, lush analog synth tones. Okay, so if you guys do like any of the kind of, you know, chill wave, retro, electronic type stuff, if you're really into those like 80s sounding, like Com Trues is a great example, anything like that, you're going to absolutely love this library. It is chock full of sounds like this. Now on the flip side, I wouldn't say it's super versatile. You could definitely do a lot with it, but you're not going to find like really amazing, super modern synth sounds in here. You're also not, again, going to be able to do a ton of editing to the sounds, but it's really focused on that kind of classic 80s vibe. So Again, we have A and B. You can go through here, and it's got a really great library of kind of basic samples that you can start with. You can load separate samples for A and then for B. And then we, again, just have some very, very basic controls down here. We have blend, release, cutoff, LFO fade, LFO rate, vibrato, distortion, and then overall output volume. Now, the blend A to B and volume stay there pretty much at all times. However, you'll see, like right now I have an effects patch pulled up, but if we go over to a lead patch, you'll see that some of these actually change. Now we have attack, release, cutoff, stereo, width, delay, and reverb. So some of them, again, are specific things, like cutoff is, cutoff, filter cutoff frequency for a synthesizer. But then like delay and reverb, these are more kind of macro controls. So the idea here is not to go in and get super surgical and build a bunch of your own sounds totally from the ground up. It's much more about just, again, playing. That's why it's called the Play series. We can pull up a preset. We can do a little bit of tweaking if we want, very, very basic stuff. But really, it's meant to just get you up and running and making music. So let's go ahead and hear some sounds from it, play around with the controls a little bit. Got my MIDI controller over here. This is Arcadia, a nice pad sound. So you can already hear it's got a very, very nice, distinctively 80s vibe. Now, just messing around with these, again, kind of macros, we can, of course, blend A to B. So this is blending towards the A, harmonic chaos. You can hear is a very low, kind of growly. And then over to B is Wavetable Bliss, is that sample, which is a little bit more of a typical synth sample. So very, very nice. Now, some of these knobs, it's very, very obvious what they're going to do. Filter cutoff. That behaves pretty much exactly how you would expect. Noise, same kind of a thing. But they've really done away with including anything really synthesis-oriented. Some people are going to like that. Some people are not going to like that. If you're somebody who likes to go in and really patch out a synth and make stuff from the ground up that's totally uniquely yours, this is not going to be something you're very interested in. But I see it bring a lot of value to people who enjoy synth sounds, but don't necessarily know a ton about how to create patches from the ground up. Synthesis is really, really complex. I'm not even, especially great at understanding all the fine points of how really advanced synthesizers, even old school analog ones, work. It can be very complicated to understand. Now, I've worked with a lot of them. I own, a Moog Model D clone and an ARP Odyssey and all this stuff back in my studio in the States. So I do know, I know the basics, but sometimes I don't necessarily want to have to worry about all this kind of stuff and getting all my oscillators going and everything like that. Sometimes I do just want something that's really simple and inspiring. And I think this Analog Dreams really fits that bill. So let's hear a few more presets. Blurry Skies. Very, very, very nice. Coastline Sunset. These are all pads, by the way. Very, very cool. Off-World Swell. Very nice, kind of a nice stereo chorus sound going on. Let's hear some lead sounds. Barely There. Nice kind of a Tangerine Dream vibe. I dig that. How about some Crystal Castles? Works kind of as a lead or sort of a pluck. And speaking of plucks, let's hear a few plucks. Caverna Magica. Ooh. That's very modern, actually. I mean, it has a lot of 80s vibe to it, but it's also very, very modern. So, we do have some editability. So, for example, if I wanted a little bit more tone out of this one, I'd move it away from this wood grain sound more into this black triangle. Very, very nice. I like that one a lot. How about Poke in the Ear? This one might be a little loud. We'll find out. Not bad. I dig it. How about some bass sounds? B square. Ooh, yeah, that's nice and thick. Nice and mellow. I like it. So yeah, I don't want to sit here and go through all. It comes with quite a few presets. I mean, there's at least 20 or 30 in each of these, the more categories at least, leads and pads and stuff. The FX, these are more kind of wild, obviously FX oriented stuff. But yeah, I think it comes with a lot of nice options. It comes with enough settings to kind of mess around with in terms of, being able to sculpt things. You definitely can go in there and change the sounds up, even in some cases quite a lot, because there are some of these presets where you have like flangers and delays and stuff like this that can bring a lot to the party in terms of effects. But again, it's not meant as something where like sound designers are really those, kind of synth sculptor guys who really want all that hands-on control. It's not really designed for that. It's much more designed, again, for just opening up, jumping in, getting going, finding a sound that you kind of dig and letting it inspire you to create a track or create a beat or whatever. And I think that's great. I think that there's a lot of people out there that this is really going to work well for. So that sounds like something that would fit into your workflow. If you don't want to spend a ton of time creating patches, you don't mind using some stuff that's a little bit more preset based, but you're mainly just worried about making a cool track, diving straight in and not having to get your hands particularly messy in the synth world, then I think this is going to be a really, really great option for you. At $49, I feel like that's right at the top end of what I would pay for something like this. Again, they were having this kind of coronavirus special where this was actually free to download, which is when I got it, just kind of on a lark out of curiosity. And obviously free, that's amazing. I think $20 or $30 would be perfectly fair. $49 is like right at the top end of what I think something like this is really worth. Again, just because it is a little bit more limited. There's a good diversity of sounds, but they are all focused on this kind of 80s synthwave vibe. And that's great if that's the kind of stuff that you do. But looking at it from my perspective, somebody who does a lot of different types of production, sometimes I do stuff in that genre, but then sometimes I'm doing like orchestral scoring for a video game or producing a country record, or I do a lot of different stuff. And if you're like me, then I really like it when my tools have as much applicability as possible and can fit into as many different styles or genres or be used on as many projects as possible. That's great for me. Now, if synthwave or just kind of this more old school synth stuff is right in your wheelhouse and that's the majority of what you do, 2 thumbs up. I think it's great. If it sounds like something you would be into, definitely check it out. But what do you guys think? What do you think about plugins like this in general? Plugins that kind of shy away from the traditional, like, here's a recreation of a synth, or here's all the controls, and instead just give you these kind of, just a few options to tweak it a little bit, but then a lot of presets and a lot of kind of built-in sounds. What do you guys think about that? Is that the kind of thing that you guys like to use? Do you like to have more control? Whatever your thoughts may be, definitely leave them in the comments down below. I would love to know. If you have not yet subscribed to the Consordini channel, please do so. You can click that subscribe button. Also click that notification bell to be kept up to date as we post new content. And if you want to give this video a like or a share, that would be awesome as well. But regardless, my name is Alex Scott with Consordini.com. Thank you again so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.